The coronavirus is harming people's health and damaging the global economy. But there are also a number of ways in which it has reduced pollution and emissions in the short term. We spoke to Keith Bell from Cranfield University to find out more.
Yeah, and maybe that in that sense, it gives us a glimpse of what things can be like in the future when we aspire to a much cleaner environment, a much cleaner atmosphere. And if we can remember those things about what's happening now and think, okay, actually we can have cleaner cities, but we've provided we can sort out the economic balance. The discussion about a just transition, I think, again, it sort of helps. Maybe we can understand a bit better what that means or what it might mean in terms of looking after the whole of society and making sure that everyone has kind of the basic needs are met.
Well, it's definitely proven that people can work from home. People can conduct interviews without having to drive halfway up the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And lots of us who can work from home, and many of us are really lucky to be able to do that. I think one of the challenges is for those who can't work from home. A lot of the key services, people working in the food sector in terms of retail and the supply chains. Obviously, the health sector, social services. There's a few articles coming out just in the last few days about agriculture and whether when we get through into the summer and then through into the autumn, if we're still in any condition like this, whether the crops are going to be harvested and processed and distributed appropriately. So there are major challenges that we see. So not everyone, you're right, lots of us can work from home, and it's going to be a challenge for us to think, well, when we come out of this, are we going to revert to the old ways in which we did things, or can we learn? Certainly for me, I seem to have been up and down to London every week for the last kind of couple of months, and it's been quite nice not to have to bother. Actually, it's 4.5 hours from Glasgow Central to Euston. Can get a lot done in that time, but it's a lot of travelling.
Yeah, quite a slowdown in pace.
Yeah, well, maybe we're rushing around, not quite as much, spending less time in cars, on trains, in aeroplanes. That's got to be a good thing. And I know, so I think the Department for Transport had a report that came out. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, about getting towards net zero transport. And I think quite rightly, it talks about modal shift. If we need to travel, using different means. But another big thing is, well, do we really need to travel? And, like I say, large parts of society do, for all sorts of reasons. We've still got to be able to facilitate that. But the rest of us that maybe don't have to travel quite so much, let's not travel quite so much.
Yeah, it's like the energy efficiency thing where, the energy that is the greenest is the energy we don't use.
Absolutely, yeah. And it doesn't mean we have to stop doing things. I think there are different ways in which we can achieve sort of similar ends. So we don't have to stop talking to people. We don't have to stop having collaborations and meetings, but we can do that in a different way that uses less energy. So it's not just about completely stopping the things that we're used to, I think.
Do you think COP26 is going to be affected? Because, well, obviously it will be affected, but how badly do you think the effects are going to be? Because we changed the COP president pretty soon before this whole coronavirus thing kicked off. And that was kind of enough delay. But obviously this is much, much worse.
Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly what's going to turn out there. My understanding is that the UNFCCC has a meeting on Wednesday, where they will be just working out some of the next kind of meetings that are already scheduled and if they're going to be delayed or how they're going to be rearranged. So, I don't know. It is possible that COP26 could be postponed. It kind of makes it difficult to drive forward the whole kind of diplomatic process that is a key part of building up to that. There's a whole program of activities to get some possible agreements on the table for the big meeting itself.
Do you think that could knock us off progress towards net zero?
There may well be some delays. Like I say, the priority in the short term is going to be dealing with the sort of the health and economic consequences of what we're going through right now. But it shouldn't stop us from getting through the transition. I think, the next decade is absolutely critical to what we do to get towards the net zero targets. A lot of the things have got to be put in place. If we think about replacement of capital stock, power generation facilities, network facilities, industrial processes, a lot of the kind of equipment that's used for those things will have, say, a lifetime of between 20 and 40 years. So, 2050 is only 30 years away. So things that would be up for replacement in the next 10 years, we should be replacing in such a way that they can be net zero compatible by the time we get to 2050. Otherwise, we face the cost of early asset write-off, subsequently changing them again before you would normally do so. Things like vehicles maybe have a shorter kind of turnover, maybe 10 to 15 years, a typical kind of car on the road. Maybe we've got some more time, but we're hoping to build up the market for electric vehicles in this next decade. And buildings maybe is the big one, I suppose, about, the building stock takes a lot longer to turn over. So we've really got to be doing a lot with that in the next decade as well.
Yeah, is that the key to decarbonisation then? Green kit?
It's one of the keys. It's not the only key. I mean, I know we've already kind of talked about it a little bit about what we do and what we choose to do. So there's a lot of kind of societal choices, if you like, and the choices that are open to individuals, individual businesses, public institutions, and so on. That's another big part of it. But the technology, and not just the technology, but also, if you like, business models, or just ways of doing things, methodologies, they have to make it as easy as possible, I think, for people to make the choices that are net zero compatible, if you like. So I think the things have to come together.
Yeah, because they won't happen otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We don't want to have to get into a situation of, obliging all sorts of changes, although that regulation is an important part of it as well, because I think we see that especially in the buildings sector, putting good, proper standards on energy efficiency in buildings, for example, especially on new buildings. Retrofit of existing buildings is going to be a much harder challenge, but we've got to face that at some point as well. So if you can make it easy for people to make these sorts of choices that will reduce greenhouse gas emissions, then everyone's a winner, basically.